Okay, so back at our paddle project here, I've taken this hand plane and I've straightened up the edge down to the line that I drew with my template, and I've actually done that to both sides. So now what I want to do is I'd like to draw a line down the center of the edge of the blade that will represent the edge of the blade when I'm done. So in order to do that, I've got myself a piece of wood that I've cut on the table saw that is the proper thickness, and I'm just going to lay that on my table, and then I'm going to draw my line like this. Okay, and I'm going to do that there as well, and I also want to do it up the shaft. So, done properly, you'll see that there's a nice line down the center of the blade that will represent the edge of the blade when I'm done. And then there's also a line down the edge of the shaft that when I shape the shaft, I should not touch that line. Now what I want to do is I want to determine the thickness of the spline of the blade. So the spline is this portion in the center of the blade. It's like the strength, the strongest part of the blade, okay? And I know for a fact that the thickness where the blade is the widest, so the thickness right here, I know for a fact is 5/8 of an inch. So what I'm going to do is take my scale here, and I'm going to divide 5/8 in half, which is 5/16. And I'm going to put a mark there and there. That tells me that the overall width of the spline down here will be 5/8 of an inch. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this straight edge, and I'm just going to estimate about, maybe a 1/16 of an inch on either side of that center line. So this has to be done fairly accurately. If I knew how to edit videos, this would probably be some of the footage that I would take out. But, so now you'll see that there are two lines that come together, they taper, and we also want to draw some lines here. And another one here. All right, so now, I'm not going to bore you with the other side. I've already done that. So now we're going to get rid of all of this wood that's above and eventually below those two lines. So we'll just clamp this in place. And also, if I knew how to edit video, I'd probably put some music in this So I'm going to use a power plane, which will just allow me to very quickly get rid of all that extra wood that's on the top or above those lines. So I've finished taking this side down to the tapered lines. I started out with the power plane, which left me with fine shavings, and then I finished off with this plane here, and it left me with some nice long shavings, and you can actually see the two different colors of wood glued together there. Okay, so that would have come off of someplace like that. Anyways, so that has let me, I've come down to those two tapered lines, and with this little straight edge, I can say fairly confidently that this taper is accurate. So now I'm going to flip it over and do the same thing to the other side. So I will admit I spent a little bit more time on it, but you will probably agree that for all intents and purposes, I did get down to those two tapered lines on both sides. And when I take a straight edge and put it across the paddle like that, it's in contact all the way across, which tells me that the spline of the paddle is the same thickness as the edge of the paddle at this time. So my next step will be to draw a centered line down the middle, and then I'm going to use a tool called the spoke shave to give the paddle a little bit of, for lack of a better term, a little bit of an airfoil effect. It's going to be high in the center and taper down to the edge with a slightly rounded profile. So we'll discuss that in the next video.